Greg, you ready to get started? It's
I am.
17 after, and we are ready. I
Oh,
think
okay.
everybody's here
We
that's
are
going to be
ready to
here.
go. Let me make sure that all my things are in place and etc. Yes, that is in
We got
place.
everyone.
And
Welcome.
there we go. Let me start and let me share. Still got some people we're bringing in. And there we go. Does everybody see me okay? We've already told you where your chat is because we might put some other things in chat too. As well. So this is a free introduction. The class is Stand Up 101. What we're going to do is demystify the stand-up comedy code. We're going to teach you some of those things tonight. Tonight's free. There's no obligation. We're not going to push on you to sign up. We'll give you an opportunity to sign up, but that's at the end, and we'll just kind of just like disappear real quick and all. So I mean, we'll just we don't do that. If people want to do stand up, they join us because they think this is the right class for them. So anyway, first of all, everybody, congratulations. Because you made it here. I just got to tell you, you have no idea. How many do we have, Kev?
59 people.
59 people.
And
okay,
one's trying to get in.
250 people signed up. That, and the problem is they think, oh, it's free. I'm not obligated to them. That's not about being obligated to us. It's about being obligated to yourself. You're the one that wants to do this. Show up. It's free.
But guys, if we had 250 people here, we'd have to pay Zoom. So I'm glad they don't.
Yeah, we would. So it's
free for under a certain.
All right. So first of all, that's congratulations because so many people just don't make it this far. Fear does weird things to people, even when it's free. There's no obligation. You could show up, learn, have a good time, have a nice, fun evening for an hour and a half or so, and everything's okay at the end of that, so maybe you'll learn some things as well. So tonight, what we'll make sure that you end up with here is we're going to write a joke by the end of the seminar. If you participate, you got to participate. Some people, I didn't write a joke. Well, you didn't even talk. Actually, have to speak, say things to us and stuff. This is not a video game. It's live. All right. So, if you participate, we'll give you a chance to write jokes. I'll show you how to write jokes. You're going to find out once you understand some of the mechanisms I teach. It's really quite easy. Tonight only, we're going to give you a $50 discount if you want to take it. And again, we're not, just leave it at that. And you'll laugh and learn. And also, now, what is it? The next one? Yeah. If you have any questions at any time, please put it in chat. We showed you where chat was. Down at the bottom, it says chat, and then a window will open up on the right, and you'll put chat in. By the way, if you haven't figured it out, I'm Greg Dean. I am the author of the book and run the classes, and have been teaching for a long time. But that'll be later in the deck. Other people will talk about me instead of me. So if you do, Kevin will or Jim will pull those out, interrupt me during the course of the, or just we'll pause for a second and answer those questions. We're here to answer. It's one of the things we're really good at is being here and answering questions. We actually, if you're in the classes with us, we have a thing called office hours once a week. There's office hours in your time zone where you can drop in and ask anything, get help with anything, et cetera, et cetera. We're always there. We offer a service like nobody else does. So, okay, I'm going to introduce, or they're going to introduce yourself. All of my students here are certified Greg Dean teachers. I have a very clear and specific curriculum. There is things they have to learn. They have to understand my joke diagram. They have to understand 2 or 3 different joke writing systems. They have to understand how comedy works within storytelling. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, trust me, a lot. There's months of training that each of these people had to go through and teaching just to get to where they are here. So these people are certified by me because they had to pass tests. They had to be able to correct jokes, take non-joke routines and turn them into jokes, all kinds of stuff that we teach in these classes, but they have to be able to do it before they can teach it. So here we go. First of all, Curtis Matthews. Curtis, you here? Or
yeah, I am. That's right. I'm a comedy Marine, damn it. I made it through the obstacle course.
All right.
First of all, I wanted to say hi to Dick Satori. I see you hiding in there. Get out of your van and into the sun, brother. Get a hold of me. Anyway, my name's Curtis Matthews, and I've made a, hey, what's up? I've made a living in stand-up related industries for the last 36 years, in between hell gigs that I did for you people in Wyoming, Montana, and Bakersfield. I also starred on BBC One's Find Me the Funny. I appeared on VH1 Celebrity Rehab and made Rod Stewart's son cry. I co-authored the book Comediology, and I still tour internationally as Half the Addicts Comedy Tour. The only comedy class I ever needed and I ever took was with Greg Dean back in 1982. That's how long he's been teaching. And back then he had terrible sideburns and taught courses on Hollywood Boulevard and what could be described as a funeral parlor for dead horror film actors. So I look forward to assisting you all with your comedy dream. Oh, look how pleasant he looks on me after 30 plus years. Anyway, feel free to Google the crap out of me. And that's the only action I'm getting all year. You're welcome.
Yeah,
You're welcome. I'm here.
That's Curtis Matthews. That's a nice picture. You look like a refugee from Scientology.
Heck yeah, I am. Let's all vape.
What? Are you clear?
Vape. Yeah.
All right, Kevin Comstock.
Hey,
Who's
everybody,
talking
I'm
in the
Kevin
background?
Comstock.
Mute yourself.
No
Hey,
puppy. No.
No.
Okay, Chris with a K has a puppy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
That's okay,
I thought I
man.
was on mute.
Go ahead, Kevin. Go ahead, Kevin. You got it.
You're going, Kev.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name's Kevin Comstock. I've been performing professionally since 1987. I've worked as a stand-up comic, obviously, but I've also used the comedy skills and techniques to work as an MC, a special events coordinator, and a comedic host. I enjoy teaching virtual comedy classes because I can hang out with people and not wear a mask. Because people in a COVID mask, it reminds me of a Halloween party with really, really crappy costumes.
And the same one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look like a wow, dude. You look like a lumberjack from Boys Town. Nice. That's right. Jim McAleese, hey, it's Jim McAleese, eh? Did I do that right? Eh? Jim there? Did he get knocked off?
Jim?
Is he muted,
Jim.
eh?
I'll come back to him.
All right.
Paul.
Hey, it's Huntley Buttons. That's my stripper name. Huntley Buttons here. My name is Paul Olson. I'm originally from the Bay Area. I studied theater and improv in San Francisco and New York. I'm currently a member of the New York Theater Company, the Complete Theater Company. Worked at major clubs in New York and San Francisco. Produced shows in both cities on 42nd Street and Lombard Street. Worked in stand-up and film with people like Gilbert Gottfried, Mark Norman, Nate Bargatze. I'm excited to be here and meet all of you. Welcome to the class, and you're in the right place.
Cool. You look like a pedophile bus driver, dude.
I was paroled for that. That was a long time ago.
Oh, yeah, a long time ago. Yes.
They said they were going to expunge my record. What happened?
I just have to avoid schools. Is Jim
You can't
back with
watch
us?
it.
I'm back. Yeah.
Jim, go for it.
Hi, folks. Jim McAleese here. I'm a stand-up comedian and teacher at Second City here in Toronto. I've been performing across Canada from coast to coast since 1979. I've had many appearances on Canadian TV, including my own special on CBC television, Coast to Coast. Some famous comedians who started at the same club as me include Howie Mandel, Jim Carrey, and Norm Macdonald. Have you ever heard Norm go, "Ho"? Well, I wrote that. Alrighty then. When I started out, there were no classes or books to learn how to write and perform stand-up comedy. If Greg's School had existed back then, it would have saved me 6 to 8 years learning this stuff. So a lot of trial and error over the years. And stand-up's a great calling. Welcome to the club. This certainly beats welding.
Jim,
Oh, God, thank
Jim,
you.
I don't have anything bad to say
Missing
about you.
something.
I just hope you
Missing a
live in the
letter.
class tonight. That's all. That's just there we go. Yes, and now, ladies and gentlemen, the lovely Gayla Johnson.
Well, yeah. Thanks, guys. I represent the female employees of the Greg Dean Comedy Workshop because women are funny. Women are hilarious, and we can do this. I am Gayla Johnson. I'm a LA-based person. I am born and raised. I'm a native LA person, so I'm really, plastic. No, I'm not. I don't know. What did they say about LA? Nobody likes people from LA. I don't know. But my boobs are real. So moving along. I'm a comedian, working comedian, working actress. I'm 20 years in the comedy world. I've been performing stand-up for 20 years. I have a Showtime special out called Fierce Funny Women. That's been out for some time. I've been on Comedy Central, Comics Unleashed. I've done Comic View like 3 times. I've been performing. I have an album out called Black Wives Matter, because Black wives absolutely matter. I've been teaching with Greg Dean's Comedy Workshop for 15 years. I've been teaching. I run the school. I teach the beginning and the advanced classes and the showcases. So I have, patiently watched several up and coming comedians blow right past me in the school and get the jobs that I'm not getting. So I help develop people to get the work that I'm not able to go out and get because I'm working. So I've seen many people pass me up, and I'm fine with it. So great. They come back and we do private sessions or other sessions. So it's great. So yeah, really glad to be here. I think I'm going to be in the breakout rooms later on and chat with you guys about different stuff if you want to chat about that stuff. So here we go. Who the hashtag $ explanation is Greg Dean. Should I say the words, guys? I don't know. It's so sensitive. I can't believe he said that. What is the world we live in? Who the blank is Greg Dean, guys? If you're wondering, here we go. Greg Dean, a comedian. He's been out there for years, doing shows and performing. Yeah, somebody said oops.
There it goes.
There we go. Greg Dean, paid Comedy Store regular. He's been a paid Comedy Store regular since the Comedy Store was built. You can see by his age, he's been there.
He held the hammer.
I know. I mean, all these guys with the beard and, not all bearded white men are Trump supporters. We're finding out. Greg is just an independent atheist. It's very strange. So he's a Comedy Store regular. Just so you know, there are unpaid Comedy Store regulars out there as well. So, and there's a Comedy Store in London and LA. So he's been out there performing. This next picture is him on Saturday Night Live, performing live on Saturday Night Live with his friend, Michael Davis, who's a world-renowned comedian himself. He worked in the White House with, well, not now, but back in the day when,
Yeah, he was hugely successful in the 80s and 90s, and then he went and started doing corporate work and made so much money, but then he stopped performing on television and stuff. So he was retired at 47.
So this is a picture of Greg giving Mike the broom so that he can just go be a janitor, because just because you're famous doesn't mean you should take yourself seriously.
All right, let's move on, Gayla.
Yeah, not really. I was just making jokes. Yeah, they were actually Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey clowns together. They did clowning, and they met each other. And so Greg can teach. He teaches a lot of space work and physical comedy techniques for people that are into physical comedy, because Greg himself was a street performer and a clown and a comedian that way as well. So it's not just what you say on stage. It's not just a bit. It's not just words. It's all about physicalization and behavioral, emotional association, so many other skills. I'm an actress. I know this. I do a lot of that in my acting as well, and I bring it into my acting, the other techniques, as well as writing funny jokes. Teaching stand-up comedy since 1982. Here's one of his classes. He's been teaching a long time here in LA. He's one of the guys, the only guy that actually created the industry of teaching stand-up comedy, because nobody knew how to actually teach a technique for stand-up comedy without teaching their sense of humor. That's what a lot of teachers do. They tell you what's funny and what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And inadvertently, they pass on their own limitations to you, simply because they don't know how to make you funny for who you are. So we help you articulate your sense of humor without sharing opinions about your particular style. LA Comedy Awards, Best Comedy Teacher, Laugh Factory. This was presented to Greg at the Laugh Factory Comedy Club. And Laugh Factory, they have several comedy clubs, but they actually presented this to him. The Best Comedy Teacher, that's a very difficult award to get when there's comics that think they can teach and they just gonna say a few things, and that's not teaching, that's sharing their opinion. So this is great. This is that, I think that star was made by the same guy that makes the stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
It is.
So that is the same star. That's a physical star, a heavy, like concrete star that he got, and it's actually, it should be embedded in the Walk of Fame, but I think it's It's on your wall. You know what? The thing about Greg that's different than a lot of other comics is that he's always updating his skills and techniques based on humor studies. This is an international studies of International Society for Humor Studies. Is actually a world-renowned kind of international, what is it? Scholastic organization that with full of PhDs and people that are very learned in humor studies, and they have Greg, they invite Greg to come to their conferences to teach joke structure, to teach timing, to teach relating to an audience, to teach how to deal with hecklers, all these different skills. They don't know how to teach that stuff. They just know how to theorize about it. So they invite Greg to come to the various seminars. Here's his book. This is on the shelves. On the shelves at Barnes & Noble because Borders went out of business. But you can order it on Amazon. Step by Step to Stand-Up Comedy. And this, what we're talking about going to be talking about is a class that is that book that you can learn step by step. Greg's techniques are available in all kinds of different nationalities. He is international, and they rewrite the book in their own language, but his techniques work in all languages, in Chinese, in Indonesia. We have some other languages being translated right now.
It's coming out in Vietnamese and Spanish later, probably early 2021.
Yeah, and there you go. He's gonna keep reinventing it because the skills are the skills. It's like it doesn't matter what language it is or what personality or what sense of humor it is. Skills are skills because his techniques aren't opinion based. So he can so his techniques work across any color, any lines. I can't say it and break all countries. Oh, look, they're kicking me out. Okay, great. Finally. All right. So get rid of me. Hey, you know what? I am going to be in a breakout room. If anybody wants to sign up or you're thinking of you just want to get in the class, we have limited seating and all that. You already know you're going to do this, or you want to talk about anything like that. I'll just be there waiting on you. I'll talk to you about it. And then you can always come back to the main room if you want to just chat with anybody. So I'm here at your disposal, and I will see you later in there, or I'll come back later on. So you can always come in and out just so you have another place to go, just to get something off your chest if you want. So good to meet you guys. Thanks so much.
Yay.
Yes, now it's Curtis. Curtis, take over.
Oh, hi, everybody. Hey, let's talk about some of Greg's success. I mean, we say successful. Many of his students are successful in business and in life, but people from stand-up comedy and acting, Whoopi Goldberg, she won an Oscar, also on The View. She studied with Greg Dean and see where she is today, says Whoopi. I don't know exactly right now. Anthony Jeselnik, Comedy Central. We all know Anthony, one of the greatest joke and comedy writers, I think now. Very dark, very evil, and he learned joke writing from the best. Greg didn't make him evil. I think Anthony just went a little dark with stuff.
Yeah, he was dark when he was in the classes, and I told him, he said, "Is it okay?" And I went, "Go for it."
Well, there you go. And now look, you unleashed a monster. Krzyza Pashitsky. Pashitsky, did I do it right?
Good job.
Pashitsky, Comedy Central Netflix special. She's at Your Mom's House. What? No, hold on. She's Your Mom's House podcast. There you go. With Tom Segura. And she took a comedy class and she fell in love with it. And that's from Christina. So very talented, successful in comedy. Sherry Shepard, look at her. What an attractive lady. She was in Game On, Mr. Iglesias, Man with a Plan, and also appears on The View. Sherry is one of Greg's alumnus as well.
Cool. Thank you, Curtis. Very nice. Okay, so let me unshare here for just a second. Does anybody have any questions? Did anything come in to chat, Jim? Kurt? Kevin?
Yeah, nobody's asking to get into a breakout room with Gayla yet, but
no. Yeah.
I just want to point out, yes, I do look like Patton Oswalt. Several people have commented on that. I'm actually his mother and his stunt triple. All right.
Oh yeah, Dick Satori, I know you as well, don't I? We've met several times at different clubs at different times and stuff. So glad you're here with us.
Dick will appear everywhere. You don't know. It's like Beetlejuice. Yeah. Dick's just, he's always blue. Yeah. And the rest of you people, you don't know Dick. That's all I'm saying.
That's it. And maybe you don't want to. So there we go. All right, we're going back to this whole thing. Here we go to here. How jokes work. When I first started teaching stand-up comedy, there was nothing. Nothing. Like at TA22, there was nothing. The best book on comedy was about writing radio. And they had a couple of tips about things like K-words and rhythm of three. And that was it. That was it. Steve Allen wrote a book, was mostly about sketches and stuff like that. And also, but nothing. So I started, I started teaching and slowly just started learning, because I had to ask. My question was, I used to teach my opinion as well when I first started. I think it's funnier if you do it this way. And then finally somebody, asked one session, a guy went, look, that's your way. That's not my way. I want to do it my way. And that really hit home. I went, well, he's right. Wow. If I want to teach him joke writing, or I got to figure out what a joke is. And that's what started it, was that thought, that question, what's a joke? And it took me about 15 years to define what a joke was. And now I have, and it is also accepted by the International Society of Humor Studies, the World Humor Conference. They agree that my model is an actual representation of how jokes work, because jokes have structure. And I will be teaching part of that to you tonight. So you start to learn once you learn how jokes work, everything gets so much easier. First of all, recognizing what is a joke. We can't guarantee that people will laugh at your jokes. We're not here to say, oh, we'll make everything funny. That's funny is between the performer and the audience. Okay, that's the way we deal with it. That's between you and your audience. You got to go out and find out whether it's funny. We can't guarantee if people will laugh. The one thing we can guarantee is that what you're taking on stage are jokes. I'm serious. I go to open mics. I just go, not a joke, not a joke, not a joke, not a joke. Oh, that's a joke. They get a laugh. Most people, comedians out there, beginners, don't know what a joke is, cannot define it beyond setup and punch. And we'll talk about that in a minute. We'll get into that. When I say the word joke, by the way, I mean a single unit of humor. I just want you to know that, because my definition is much broader than most people. Because my belief is that what I'm about to teach you, and I'm not going to teach you all of it tonight for free, but part of it is universal. I know it's universal because it's in my books. And like Gayla said, they have to change when they translate it to another language. They have to change the jokes, but they never change the joke structure. They never change the mechanisms. They never change the techniques. They never change the skills. They have to find examples that demonstrate those very specific things that I teach in my book, and I teach a lot more of them in the class itself, because there's a lot of things I can't. Writing about in a book is just doesn't work. I put things like crowd work, how to talk to an audience and stuff, and just doesn't. You have to be there in a classroom, and we can do it over Zoom, and we've had really good success with that. So anyway, when I say joke, I mean a single unit of humor, and it doesn't matter if it's in a cartoon, if it's in a sitcom, it doesn't matter where it's at. In a movie, it's still, when you actually understand what a joke is, that single unit of humor, it's in all those places that we laugh at humor. Not where we just laugh. We laugh because we're being tickled and being nervous. I'm talking when we laugh at humor, there's a structure to it. And again, it's not just me. It's thousands of PhDs all over the world that do nothing but study this. And they agree with my model. And some of them actually now teach my model in their schools and reference me in a lot of academic papers. So with that said, here's my joke diagram. Now, here's what most people know about jokes. This is a one-liner model. Setup and punch. Setup and punch. First of all, let me explain to you, this is not joke structure. People out there, they oh, let me teach you joke structure. They start with setup and punch. Setup and punch is not joke structure. It is just one way of expressing a joke. A one-liner is just one way we express a joke. We express humor, express a joke, same thing. We do it in like cartoons, in sitcoms, in sketches. The structure is the same when you're funny in improv. I know this is all hard to believe, but as time goes on and you learn what I'm teaching you, like my teachers did, most of them came in the beginning and said, well, I think that's a bunch of bullshit. And about 3 months in, they were like, oh my gosh, this explains everything. But it's okay. The learning, be skeptical, by the way, be skeptical. But that means you're going to investigate it, and you'll find the same thing I did. If you're skeptical and you investigate, you know, you can come and ask me questions, all kinds of stuff, but it's really amazing. Setup and punch. A one-liner is just one way of expressing a joke. It is not structure. Neither is expectation and surprise, which is also what people teach as joke structure. That's not joke structure either. It is the desired result of the setup and the punch. We want them to expect something, and then we surprise them. This, by the way, goes back to Aristotle and Socrates. This is not news. I love the teachers like, I've discovered. Yeah, you discovered something somebody else wrote down 5,000 years ago. But you discovered it. Cracks me up. Now, anyway, that's not joke structure either, even though it is helpful. So here's the first thing I'm going to really teach you. All jokes, remember, single unit of humor, have two parts. In this case, setup and punch. Those are the two parts. I'm going to give you some examples that are contrary to that in just a few minutes, in just a few seconds, actually. But it's important that you understand all jokes have two parts, all of them. Okay, the question is, where do you get those two parts from? And we'll discuss some of that tonight. But once you know, then seeing where the joke is now becomes, it's weird. It's like I don't know, all of a sudden it's like, you ever bought a brand new car for you, and then you used to see them once in a while, but as soon as you made a decision to buy that car, you saw that car everywhere, right? It's like, you know, they multiplied because you decided to buy that car. No, they were always there. You just couldn't see them. Chose not to see them. Same thing. When you learn my model of what a joke is, pretty soon every time you're watching comedy, you'll go, oh, look at that. Oh, look at how he did that. Oh, look at how she did that. How clever and interesting and how different. Very, very fun. This is why I've dedicated the rest of my life to this, because and I keep making breakthroughs almost every day, every week, faster than I can write them down, these things, seeing things that other people have not talked about before. Anyway, it's fun. Now I'm going to first show you a couple of mechanisms with one-liners because they're easier to see. Then I'll show you a couple of examples where the two parts are expressed in a different way other than what I would call setup and punch. This is a straight one-liner from the king of one-liners. Here we go. Oops, it was supposed to start. Here we go. Come on, Stephen.
I've been getting into astronomy, so I installed a skylight. People who live above me are furious.
Okay. Few smiles. Okay, I'm glad we got that. Okay, setup and punch, because this is a one-liner. Okay, he says, you know, I've been getting into astrology, so I installed the skylight. So the first mechanism of my 5 mechanisms that I'm going to teach you. Okay, it's going to be 5 of them. The first one is called target assumption. In other words, we make a series of assumptions before we now expect something, but there's one assumption the whole joke is based on. All right. So in this particular joke, we all made the assumption that he put the skylight in the ceiling of his house. Everybody follow? That's it. You got to buy into that or this joke doesn't work. You have to see, oh, he's in his own house and he put it in the ceiling. Then the punchline, the people who live above me are furious. Now that can target this assumption and make it wrong. It makes it wrong. Okay, so the setup is completely written to make sure that the audience, he even points above him. He does. The whole thing is, the setup is designed to make sure the audience buys into this target assumption. Okay, now here's the other mechanism, reinterpretation. An unexpected alternative to this, and you're probably pretty clear about this with this joke. The ceiling is in the downstairs apartment. The skylights in the ceiling of the downstairs apartment. Okay, yeah, which did, and now that's not the punch. The punch is the people who live above me are furious. There's a difference. This is the reinterpretation is the idea for the joke. The punch is the expression. This is what you say. Okay, they are not the same thing. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they'll conflate. Sometimes they'll get together and do the same thing. But I want you to understand. So the whole point of a setup is to get you to buy of a one-liner, is to get you to buy into that target assumption. Okay, we have a reinterpretation from that. We write a punchline, and these two things target that's why it's called a target assumption. It targets that assumption and makes it wrong. Okay, that's why it's a target assumption. You know, we're wrong. We made the wrong assumption that it's in the ceiling of his own home or his own house. Okay, I'm used to asking, is everybody understand? But that's in IRL, sorry, in real life classes. We now are on Zoom classes, so there's no point in asking. So anyway, here's a guy, Peter Kay. If you don't know him, he's British, you should check him out. He's hysterical. Now, he does comedy, uses these two parts in a very different way. So then I'll listen to him, and then I'll explain it to you like I did before, because I'm not expecting a diagram joke. The joke diagram is just a visual representation so that you can actually follow, especially for visual learners, what I'm talking about and start to see the pattern. Okay, here we go.
You know that song, We Are Family? For years I thought they were singing, Just Let Me Staple the Vicar. Right? Who's right and who's wrong here? Listen.
All of the people around us, they say, can they be that close? Just let me staple the vicar.
That's what they sing. Just let me staple the vicar. What's all that about?
Just let me staple the vicar.
That makes me laugh every time I see it. I've seen that so many times. By the way, if you don't know what it is, so now two parts. The setup is already in everybody's head. It's what I call common knowledge. The common knowledge of the lyrics, or at least we know it's not just let me staple the vicar, right? The target assumption is, maybe you don't know this, the real lyrics, just let me state for the record. That's what they're really singing. That's the lyric. Now we know it's not that, but we know it's not, we at least know that's not. This is what it really is for anybody who knows. Now the second part is that even though he told us, but once we hear it, he plays the actual verses. That's how he you understand, if you want to call it a punchline, but I'm saying the second part is him playing it on his recorder and putting the microphone up to it. That's, first part, second part. He's doing this in a different way. First of all, the whole setup and or the first part and the target assumption already exists in our heads. It is not communicated to him by us. This is really important because more than half the jokes in the world are based upon common knowledge, existing knowledge already in our head. All satire, all parodies. Does everybody follow? Hoping that you might nod once in a while, but I'm saying you have to know what if you're going to do a Star Wars satire or something, they have to see the movie Star Wars or they have to see Yoda before they understand the satire of Yoda. Has to have two parts. Okay, always. These are some of the things that are really important. And his reinterpretation, of course, was just let me staple the vicar. I think a vicar for them was also like a priest. So that even makes me laugh. Anyway, so I'm just going to assume you nodded your heads, that you understand. Again, what we're doing is here teaching you that there's these two parts, but these two parts have mechanisms. The audience, if the audience has never heard "We Are Family," they won't get that joke. They won't have that common knowledge, that shared knowledge. If they don't have it, they won't get the joke. Okay, so as a comedian, that's why a lot of comedians ask people questions. Oh, has anybody seen this so-and-so TV show? What the reason they should be asking that is to find out if the audience is familiar with what they're going to satirize. But instead, they usually go, oh, has anybody seen this show? Well, and then they go and do it anyway when nobody raises their hand because they're not asking it for the right question, right reason. So anyway, so Bill Burr, one of my favorites, met him once and chatted with him online a couple times and all. Don't know him real well, but I like his work a lot. Ran into him at the Comedy Store. Mitzi Shore, the owner, the woman, at her memorial. It was a few months ago when she passed away. Maybe it was a year ago now. Anyway, now he's going to use those two parts and even a different way. And there's many, many ways you can use those two parts to create a joke, but it has to have two parts. Okay, here's him.
No means no, that's another one. No means no. It's like, no, it doesn't. All right? Look, no means no. No, that means no. All right, but no, stop it. What are you doing? Oh my God. You're being so bad. Stop it. No.
Okay, so he's doing this in a very different way. Okay. Part one is a point of view. He's saying his point of view is no, no means no, or no doesn't mean no. Okay, his target assumption with this whole thing is most people believe no only or absolutely means no. It only means no. No means no. And he's going, no, that's not the case. He's going to flirtate. Now he becomes the flirtatious girl and acts her out. It's a point of view. He's going from one point of view to another point of view inside of his act out, inside of his story, to deliver those two different parts of a joke. And now he acts her out, goes, no, stop it. What are you doing? No, that whole thing. And what's the reinterpretation? Again, the reinterpretation is no can mean yes. That's the reinterpretation. That's not the punchline. He didn't become the girl and go, no means yes. He didn't do that. That's why the mechanism is separate from the punch, if you want to call it that. Okay, where he's doing this now. This is really important because now we've shown you how a one-liner works. We've shown you how this other guy uses auditory jokes and common knowledge that we already have in our head. Oh, Bill Burr is now using these two parts by shifting points of view, like people do, like Robin Williams and Richard Pryor, Eddie Izzard, go down the line, Lily Tomlin, people who do storytelling. This is their joke structure. Okay, that's why it's universal joke structure. It explains storytelling joke structure as well as one-liner. Now it's also explains it in, like I said before, like sketches. When you start to see cartoons, you'll start to understand how the structure of the humor happens there as well. And the reason that I teach this is what I learned over the last almost 40 years of teaching and investigating and reading and studying so many things, is that if I can teach you what a joke is and then you can see what I can see, you're just going to jump way ahead of the game. It's kind of like in sports. Yeah, anybody can play a sport. I played basketball. Never had a good coach, so I never played it in high school. Even though I was tall and I wasn't a very good player. I was okay. I could shoot. I could do. Other people that were shorter and less athletic than me were on the teams because they had a coach that taught them the fundamentals, and they practiced those fundamentals until they got really good at them. So now all of a sudden they could play this game because they understood more than I did. Me, I just had natural ability, and and that in the long run wasn't enough. Same thing with anything like singers. Anybody can sing. Get a good singing coach, you jump ahead. So, any sports, any dancing, same thing. You don't have to learn those things, but you can sure get better a lot faster because you don't have to spend years figuring out what those fundamentals are. I can teach them to you in a matter of weeks. Then you can apply them. Here's the magic part. Then you can apply them to your own sense of humor. Nothing about my sense of humor. I'm not going to tell you something's funny or not. Funny is between you and your audience. That's where we differ from almost all other schools in teaching stand-up comedy. Is that what we do is every answer we'll give you and a fix will have an actual technique or a skill, something you can practice attached to it, instead of just going, well, it'll be better if you just did it my way. That's not what we do. We teach this way. Once I teach you what a joke is, I'm just telling you, one, you'll be able to see jokes where you've never seen them before, and two, and the next thing that's going to happen, you'll be able to write jokes very easily. And so we'll jump into that, how to write jokes. The reason the International Society of Humor Study was so freaked out when I first presented my stuff was because what they said to me, and they were very kind, because they could have been really cruel, because a lot of them, you know, they're academics and they could be really mean about their opinions. What they basically said was, look, you've added nothing to humor theory. Everything in your diagram, your model, we know about. We talk about it differently, but yeah, that's exactly the same thing that we write about and we have. That's exactly the same thing. Your model is correct. The difference is, from my model, I can teach people to write jokes within minutes. And then that's when they start calling me up to go to Texas A&M and Strathmore College and all these other places to teach joke writing to their upper graduate students, because these people all they did was do theory and research. And none of them had any real world experience. I've spent 40 years in a living lab with human beings and teaching them and watching them take these skills and these techniques and these principles that I teach, practice them, and then be able to do what it is that I say that will happen if they learn these things. So there's that. So what's this one here? Oh, okay. So now we're going to write some jokes. All right. Do I want to stop for a second just in case? Anybody got any questions? Put them in Slack. Anything come up? Nope, not so far. Nothing? Okay, I'm either doing a good job or you guys don't know how to write.
They're
I'm
riveted.
not sure which it is.
So. Read your book multiple times. So it's like, oh.
Yeah, it's a good place to start. But when you get in and with me in a class and start applying it a lot of different ways, it's like it really opens that door. I've had so many hundreds, if not thousands of people come in. I read your book. You know, I said, well, take the class. They take the class, they come back to me and say, thank you. Oh my God, I had no idea how it applied to so universally. I just kept thinking of it for one-liners, and not until I was in the class did I start to see how it applies in so many other ways. That's hard to put in a book. Actually, I've learned a lot since I wrote that book. It took me 10 years to write that book, and it's been out for 20 years. So the next one's coming soon as well. So here, let me reshare again. So if you guys participate, you'll be able to write a joke right now. If you participate, I'm not going to guarantee it unless you jump in with me. So we're going to start with, this is a joke writing system. I've invented 3 or 4 joke writing systems since I've figured out joke structure, how to go about writing jokes, because once you understand the mechanisms, it kind of opens doors from the setup to the punch, okay? I can only explain part of that to you right now because I'm not going to teach you the whole model for free. That's what you pay for. Yet, you know, I'm trying to teach you enough so that you could see, oh, yeah, he really can teach me what it is he says he could teach me. That's what I'm showing you. This is why we give it away for free, because a lot of people don't know that this class can do what it can do and what we say it can do, and it probably can do more, because I don't feel comfortable blowing my own horn. I'm never good at that. That's why I have other people talk about me. So we're going to start with a traditional American wedding. So unmute, and some people yell out some stuff that you think would be at. Now again, don't try to be funny. This is not the funny part. This isn't funny. I want you to yell out, what are things that would be at a traditional American wedding? What are the things you'd expect to be there, or things to happen?
Flower girl. Okay. Toast.
Oh, wait.
Flower girl.
Yes.
Preacher.
Dancing.
Ring bearers.
Chairs.
People.
Dress.
Bridesmaids.
A bride.
Food.
Groom.
Music,
A veil.
rod,
No groom.
The action figure.
Photographer.
The minister.
Children.
Man's speech.
Family.
Best man's speech.
Yes.
Decorations.
Yes. All right. Exact. Now, it's strange, probably if I'd written all those things down, which I wouldn't have time to do, we'd all go, oh, that's a pretty consistent list that we all agree upon, because we have that shared, that common knowledge together. Okay. I'm going to pick 3 just to show you that those, first of all those are assumptions. You're making assumptions just right there that those things will be at this wedding. Do you follow? You go to a traditional American wedding, you expect certain things to happen a certain way in a certain time with certain rituals. We all do, because we've seen it so many times on TV and in life and stuff like that. Those are assumptions. So I'm going to pick these 3. There's music, the bride's dress, and first kiss. Guys, I'm sure you all agree. I'm not going to ask you that's going to be there. Okay. Now, here's how we go about writing jokes. The next step is we define a premise. Define a premise. And a premise I define very simply as a subject with a negative opinion. That's it. It's a subject with a negative opinion, or a negative opinion about a subject. Negative opinion about a subject. So our premise is going to be that there's some red flags at this wedding that lets us know that this marriage won't work. That's our negative opinion. This marriage is going to be a disaster. All right. This marriage is going to be a disaster. It's going to be terrible. It won't work. And we're going to be looking for those red flags. Now, here's the interesting thing. The target assumptions are going to be some assumptions about the subjects, these subjects over here. The reinterpretations, everybody listen to this, the reinterpretations that the ideas we're writing jokes for are framed by the premise. The setup, the target assumption, there is no setup, it's common knowledge, the knowledge we already have in our head. Is the setup is going to be about some kind of common knowledge we have. The punchline is going to be some red flag at this wedding that tells us this is going to be a disaster, that this marriage won't work. Does everybody follow? Now, here's where you participate, because I'm not going to run you through to let you know. As soon as you know what calm down, Remy. As soon as you know, as soon as you know what the assumption is, you'll quickly start getting ideas for the punch, for the reinterpretation. Now, I'm not going to take you all the way to the punch, because that's a whole class in itself, how to take ideas and form them into punchlines. And we do that in the beginner class. We spend a whole class on how to write punchlines correctly and stuff. Almost a whole class. I mean, it's like writing them correctly, but that's not what we're doing here. We're going to come up with ideas for this joke. So let me take you through it. Here we go. Okay, so music. Okay, so what's the music? The music when she's walking. I already blew it. All right, back up. What is the music when she's walking down the aisle? Right. The bridal march. Does everybody agree? When she's walking down the aisle, she's coming into the music of the bridal march. Oh, I screwed that up. Okay, how do I get back out of that? All right, I'm going the wrong. All right, so I fucked up the first joke. Okay, all right. Right, good. All right, so anybody else have any ideas? What kind of music would be at this wedding? What's the worst possible music?
Darth Vader's theme.
Good.
Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Oh, Thriller.
Friday the 13th.
Yeah, the wife is up there. Anybody else?
American National Anthem.
National
Halloween.
Anthem. Wow, look, at least they'd stand up. Or maybe they'd kneel. I don't know. I'd kneel.
They just asked everyone to hum it.
Anybody else? Again, if you participate, you can write a joke. Even if it's in your head, you know you're starting to write jokes because the system works. Once you know what everybody's assuming, bridal march, and then we frame it by saying there's a red flag. We know it's going to be some terrible music that's going to let you know that, you know, that this is a red flag against this marriage. You can start writing all these ideas. Do you follow? I'm leading the system, because once you know the mechanisms, they inform you onto the next step. You know, you'll understand more and more as I go along. Does everybody follow? So the first one we had was Jaws, which I thought was real funny. So the next one we had was Taps. I like the little cartoon. Somebody thought that idea was so funny separately from this that they actually, as a, you know, was it your dad who played, who's the idea to play taps at my wedding? They did a cartoon with the same joke, right? And that was separate. I found it online accidentally one day and I went, wow, that's the same joke we play with here. Next one. Well, I like that a lot because it's actually, the name of the song is the Imperial March, and the Bridal March and the Imperial, they're both marches. So I just see her walking down the aisle, you know, that kind of marching step that they, one step at a time that they do. I love this guy's up in the air. If you actually see that, she's gone full Darth Vader on that moment. So there we go. So now let's go to the next one. Another joke. Anybody have a last one? Anyone that didn't say for music?
The Doors, The End, like Apocalypse Now.
Yeah. This is the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one from Apocalypse Now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. You know, it could be also like Ride of the Valkyries. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, it's just, once you understand from the premise, you just start making a list. I just get up on the computer and go through a list of music, of karaoke tunes or something, and you know, you get you one after another. You could write 20, 30 of these and use the best one or two if you wanted to for a routine.
Hey, Greg, in chat, a few people wrote in, Thomas wrote in Cardi B, and Mardier suggested Cry Me a River.
Ooh, that's good.
And Paul thinks Benny Hill theme song would be appropriate.
Again, maybe rather than everybody yell stuff, you go ahead and put it in chat, and then Jim will put your ideas out there. Again, we want you to write these jokes with us because you're going to find out that the system works. I mean, with the International Society of Humor Study, their theories don't have to work. They just have to be built on somebody else and stuff. If my stuff doesn't work, and it doesn't work the way I say it will to the students for over the last 40 years, I don't get paid. They'd go, oh, this doesn't work. Why would, you know, but they stay, some people stay with me for like a full year. They keep learning different layers of what I have to teach. And I keep teaching them because I've got so many great things to teach them if they spend the time with me. Next, we're going to do the bride's dress. Or assume, what color is it?
White.
Yeah, you don't have to put that in chat. Okay, just wanted you to yeah, it's probably white for most, especially if they're young.
Yeah.
You know, if they're 88, probably not so white. You know. All right, so now at this wedding, reinterpretation, at this wedding, what kind of a dress is she wearing? If you don't want to say it out loud, put it in chat.
Flapper dress.
Flapper dress, good.
Assless chaps.
Surgical dress.
They're dressed as skid marks.
He's wearing assless chaps. I got it.
Nurse Ratchet outfit.
Oh, no, that's great. Oh, yeah, the Nurse Ratchet outfit. Is that the new thing or the
Dominatrix?
Dominatrix? That actually might make it work because he'd have to obey. So, anybody else?
Brigitte has a funeral dress.
Oh, nice black dress.
Tearaway dress.
Tearaway. Oh, you mean?
Oh, Kels Barksdale says a nudist.
Great. All right, here are some. A stained dress. Well, okay. That just
Monica.
might be like a red flag. What do you think?
Monica. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Carrie's wedding dress.
Oh, that's Carrie's. Yeah.
Ooh, I just tagged my own joke here. All right. And what about see-through? Somebody brought that up. Yes, see-through dress.
Oh, surprise.
First lady.
All right, here we go. Hazmat suit. That's right.
You won't have to socially distance.
No, you don't have
Full
to.
body condom.
Now, my favorite one of these, when one of the students boarded it out one time, said ghillie suit, and I lost it. Now, thank you. See, for the people that know, it's really funny. But those who don't know, a ghillie suit is those grass uniforms that snipers wear.
Oh, okay.
You can't see them. They're camouflaged and hid.
Yeah.
Now, what's wrong with that punchline?
We think
No
she came down
common
there.
knowledge. See, common knowledge works also in the punchline. If you do a punchline that doesn't have they don't know what does it mean it's a bad joke? No, that's a great joke. It just has to be done in front of the people who have that. You do that on any military base and say hazmat suit, you'd get a huge laugh. You do that, for the Mormon tabernacle. One of the things that you know about me now is that I'm not a speech therapist. Want you to know that's one of the things you will know. Anyway, I have ghillie suit, but there wasn't common knowledge. Not enough people knew what it was, so I didn't put it in here but I always liked it. Hazmat suit also made me laugh when somebody came up with that as well. So, anybody put anything in? Any others?
We got Leah, prison dress.
Cool.
Elaine has jeans with holes and a hippie blouse. Let's see here. I had no dress at all.
No dress. Good. All right.
Yeah.
We need to move on. I'm running a little behind and everything. So, first kiss. Now we're going to find out how sick you people are. Going to really find out. Come on now. Let that imagination roll. Come on, let's go over. So our assumption is between the bride and the groom.
The groom and the best man.
The groom and the best man. Nice. Anybody else? Oh, this one everybody's going to be putting in the chat. They're not going to say it out loud.
A little tongue in the air. Like she puts her
tongue in the ear. Okay.
Yeah.
Just went down the line.
Somewhere.
Everybody. She had our French kissing everyone.
Somewhere other than the mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, groom
Who said
kid.
that? Oh
groom,
my goodness.
Just say
groom kisses the bride's
fellatio.
mom.
Yeah, on both lips.
Oh.
Or she gargled first.
Boy, we're going there, aren't we? Good for you. No, so here's some of them we had. You guys know about this.
Webinar.
The bride and the best man. Well, that's not good. And then we had the bride and the bridesmaid. I think yours is better, Drew. Because I'm not sure that one was bad. So, now we're going to get ill.
Ring bearer.
Priest and the ring bearer.
Yeah.
Wait,
That is
what are you
good.
guys thinking?
Clearly a Catholic wedding.
What are you guys thinking? Wow, I was thinking this. Frodo, if you
He's of age.
Frodo, come on, he's the ring bearer, right? What were you guys thinking? I don't know. I don't understand. You people are sick. I don't know about you. So, any others, Jim?
Yeah, Raul Vega says both had to spit out their chewing tobacco.
Yeah,
Into some of those weddings.
The dentures fall out.
Oh, yeah.
Groom in a mirror.
A mirror. There you go.
Yeah. Chris says puts on a ball gag.
Rob Lowe's wedding. Kissed a mirror.
I love you.
All right. Cool. So, That's that was show you that we can actually teach you how to write jokes. There's a system. There's actually 3. So we're going to actually teach you 5 ways of generating material. Not all of them are writing. Some of them are different things, ranting. I've come up with, because once you understand how these techniques, I just start coming out. The other day I made a list of different ways that we teach people to write jokes, and I came up with a list of 16. We'll be teaching you 5, but we have up to 16 different ways of teaching you and helping you generate material, because they're done different ways. So I always say generate material, generate jokes, generate ideas, put together. I mean, it's really remarkable. Once this is happening, once you learn this stuff, it like opens up a door in your brain. And you start seeing how you can write comedy for almost everything. People saying, what do you write comedy about? And I'm like, what don't you write comedy about? Once you know what to look for, that helps you understand where the joke is, you just start writing comedy. The hard part's writing those great jokes that make people's foreheads bang on the table. Those are the ones you're looking for. Next, we're going to talk about storytelling and act outs. Because a lot of people say, I don't want to do one-liners. I got it. What you want to do is articulate your own sense of humor. Got it. Okay, so funny stories and act outs, scenes that are inside of it. Calm down there, Zach. All right, here's one. John Maloney telling a story. Here we go.
Amy.
I'm changing between subway trains, right? And it's 2 o'clock in the morning, okay? And you have to walk down this long corridor in order to change trains. 2 o'clock in the morning, it's just me and this woman. And she's walking a few yards ahead of me, and we're walking down, and she starts giving me like the over the shoulder, like that, like look at it. And then she starts to pick up the pace. She starts to walk a lot faster. So I think, oh, she must hear the train coming. Or she feels it in her feet, like a Native American in a movie. So I start to sprint down the hallway at her, and she looks back and she's like, ah! And then she gives chase, so now we're like booking it down the corridor at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm gaining on her. And we're getting to the end of the hallway, and she's going into that like dead end shuffle, that women do when you chase them. And I'm almost there. I'm almost at her, and then it dawns on me. Oh, she's running from me. Because in her eyes, I'm an adult. And adults rape each other.
So good. Now, I cannot diagram every joke, but the central joke of this whole piece is, again, a point of view shift. Okay? When he says she starts walking faster, and I think, oh, she must hear the train. Then he does that great joke about Native Americans and all that kind of stuff. Her reaction, those are all real great. Okay. So he thinks she's running to catch the train. That's what, see, now the assumption isn't ours. The target assumption is his inside that story. Does everybody follow? He has made an assumption, not us, we make it with him, but he, as his character on stage, made the assumption that she's running to catch the train, so he starts running faster. That's where the target assumption is. If you don't understand my work, you can't even see it. People wouldn't understand that because it's not the audience made the assumption. No, the character inside the story made the assumption. Then, and then by the time he gets near the end and stuff, come on, click on me, he says, oh, she's running from me. And the reinterpretation is she's running to get away from him. Okay, that's the structure just of that joke. There's so many other about, she sees me as an adult because he's so young looking. He looks like he's 12, and adults rape each other. And a lot of great jokes in that whole piece. But that's because, again, it's a changing, he's jumping, he's changing points of view, his assumption, and then his realization. That's how we use those 2 parts. You call it setup and punch if you want, because I don't want to completely confuse you. Yet, once again, we're seeing a different way that a comedian is melding those 2 parts together, another way of doing it. So there with that. Let's see. How much time do I got? I think I'll be doing okay here. What time do we got? 8:20. Now we're going to show you turning one-liners into storytelling act-outs because the structure is the same. It's just from one point of view to another point of view. If you're going to write one-liners, you can write storytelling jokes once you understand the structure. The difference is, with stories, you're jumping from one point of view to another point of view rather than from like one-liners from setup to punch. Okay, you're jumping. So we're going to give you several examples of this right now and stuff. So we're going to go back to the Stephen Wright joke of this one, this quick one.
I've been getting into astronomy, so I installed a skylight. People who live above me are furious.
Now, here it is. I've been getting into astronomy. So I installed the skylight. The people who live above me are furious. So now, just to kind of show you all this, let's see. Kevin, okay. Wave so everybody know who Kevin is.
Hi, everybody.
You can, if you can't see him, click to your right or left so you can get more people on your screen because there's 3 pages of people here. Go ahead, Kevin.
All right, I'm gonna make this one-liner into a scene between myself and my wife. Honey, I'm so excited about astronomy. I just put in a skylight. Yeah, but the people upstairs are going to be pissed.
Everybody follow? It's the same joke. Now it's in story form. Jim, I see you. Go ahead.
Okay. Getting into astronomy can create problems. Quit looking up my wife's dress. Tell her to stop blocking the skylight.
Cool. Yeah, who's next?
A little bit over.
Gayla. Curtis.
I'll go. Okay, this is the story. This is the character, or actually it's the neighbor, and it's the guy with the skylight. Hey, what? I've been getting into astronomy, so I drilled a giant hole in the roof. Yeah, but did you think maybe the neighbor upstairs would be mad? Thank you.
Oh yeah, Paul.
This is I'm playing the upstairs neighbor point of view. I was arguing with my neighbor downstairs. Do you like my skylight? No. You drilled a ceiling. Your ceiling is my floor.
Different way. Now you start to see the joke structure is the same. We just put it in different people's mouths, different points of view. Is Gayla back?
Gayla's in a breakout room with Steve.
Oh, okay, cool. I just needed to know. That's all I needed to know. Just saying we're going to teach you joke structure and storytelling, and it's just as clear as I just showed you with a one-liner and some of these others. 2 parts. Once you understand how to put those 2 parts together, you can write jokes and for sitcoms, for sketch, anything. For movies, really doesn't matter once you understand it. So what's the difference? This would normally be taken over by Gayla, so this is for you, Kevin.
All right, let's talk about what makes us different. We've got over 100 years of experience teaching if you add all of us. I mean, it might even add up to like 600 or 700 years. I'm not exactly sure because I don't know everybody's individual age. It's a proven system. This is a step-by-step system. It's true. There are steps and they have numbers. If you follow them, you can be part of the process. A lot of other comedy teachers don't have any system. They just tell you their opinion. We offer solution feedback. That's where we give you feedback that includes skills, principles, and techniques that you can use to make your sense of humor funnier. And we teach only skills and techniques, and it's a safe learning environment. You know, we all banter, we crack jokes on each other. Sometimes we go over the line, but this is a place to explore that, and this is a place to feel that and have fun with that. And no censorship. We do not censor. You can choose anything you want to talk about because it's up to you and your audience to have that relationship, and your audience will tell you if they're not wanting to go there with you. So we don't tell you. You can talk about anything. But just keep in mind the results you have to face.
you have to take the consequences of your own actions and stuff. So, etc. So we're not going to tell you what to do. We're, you know, with the exception of what I call clear and present danger. You can't threaten somebody. You can't, I mean, it's like, I'm going to kick your ass, or yeah, you can't do those things. Those are illegal. But other than that, we don't really, people do outrageous stuff in my classroom. I think Sam Kinison could have evolved here. Andy Kaufman could have evolved in my classes, because we wouldn't have stopped them from exploring crazy things like that. They could have had just as much support doing that as people who like to write one-liners.
And key skills and techniques that we'll be teaching include how jokes work. Very important part is to know that you have a joke. 5 ways of generating material. Crowd work. Crowd work is when you actually talk to people in the crowd. Hey, what's your name? Where are you from? That kind of thing. It's a skill that we want you to hone, because it gives you a great relationship with your audience. And we do from premise to routine. So we can start out with a topic. We'll take the topic, we'll turn it into a premise, and we'll turn the premise into a routine. And we do storytelling and act outs. Obviously, not everybody's style is going to have them want to deliver one-liners. So we give different points of view and different ways to try it using the techniques and skills. And we rehearse to be present. This is like the most important thing, is to be present with the audience and just be yourself. Bringing yourself to the stage is the key. And we do object and space work. Obviously, if you're picking up a cup and you can actually make it look like a real cup, you're going to actually play bigger. It's going to get the people to lose themselves in your movie, so to speak. And we're going to help you manage stage fright. Now, you're not going to ever get rid of stage fright. What we want to do is we want to channel that exciting feeling into something positive. And we're going to help you with show construction. We create shows, and we go through and we rate our material, and we help you create what's called a BCA format. That can all be explained down the line. And audience engagement. Once again, we go so far as to say that the most important thing in a comedy show is the relationship with the audience. Not only is it the most important thing, it is the show. Jokes are an activity. Your relationship is the show. So we want really focus on audience engagement.
Oop, went the wrong way.
All right, we got some bonuses.
These are quickens.
All right, cool. So we have a PDF workbook. You get to have everything in writing so you can follow along and also go back over stuff. We have weekly office hours. We have office hours in all 4 of the time zones that we're in right now. You can come in, you can run jokes past us. You can also just come in and sit and be a fly on the wall while other people ask questions. It's a great little bonus class. We have support in some Zoom training, just a little bit. We want to make sure that you can do it. Obviously, if you're here, you probably did okay. You can make up a class on video. We film all the classes. Well, not film anymore, but we video record all the classes. And you can, if you miss a class, you can request a link and we'll send you out a link. And everybody is a certified stand-up comedy teacher. Greg already went into that, but we have to go through a very rigorous training. We have a Slack community. And you could direct message to the teachers in real time. So you always have access to us. Not only that, we have you a member of the Slack community of the students in the class with you as well. So everybody can keep the conversation going even when class ends. Membership in our global stand-up community. We got Facebook groups, all kinds of stuff like that. And obviously we have discounts on classes and private sessions and video courses and books. And don't forget, it's a good thing to think of, it's a tax write-off for education. It is a tax write-off. So invest in yourself and write it off your taxes. So join us. Classes start Monday, October 19th from 7 to 10 p.m. local time. That's the LA class. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the links to all the classes in chat because we have 4 different classes in 4 different time zones, and it's up to you to pick one that fits your schedule. Obviously, this is probably the best one because this is the one you came to, but we want you to have that option. There are 7 weeks of live instruction. There's only 15 seats available, and you can sign up now. You get to have a code, and that code gives you a $50 discount. The promo code is 50GregOff. And if you have any other questions, you're welcome to take a look at our website, GregDeanStandUpComedyClasses.com, or you could stay on here with us and chat.
That was our whole sales pitch. That's it right there. You can get $50 off if you use this code and sign up on, and we do it through Eventbrite. That's it. You have to sign up by Sunday to get the $50 off now. With all that said, you can go into a breakout room with Gayla or anybody else. So from here on out, we're just going to hang with you guys and answer your questions. That's what we're going to do. That was it. If you want to learn about the class, do you have any other questions or about stand-up or about anything you want, where there's a series of us here, we can go into breakout rooms and chat with you, or I'll just sit here and answer questions and just hang out with us for a while. That's what we're saying, is that's it. That's our presentation. We're done. If you want to join us, you know, and you know what we're doing. And if not, I'm glad you joined us, and we will, you know, hopefully see you in the class or in a future class. So
Hey,
there we go. We're unshared.
What about the? Can you hear me?
I can hear somebody. Tell me who it is.
Drew, I think.
This is Chris.
Oh, Chris.
Chris from Columbus.
Right.
In the VIP, how does that scheduling work for the VIP classes?
What VIP classes?
I thought I saw that there was maybe a VIP one-on-one sort of thing, like option.
Privates.
Privates.
Yo, privates. Yeah,
privates.
those are $250 an hour with me and less with the other people. But trust me, you are better off doing this because, you know, for a few $100s, you're going to learn what I end up doing for a lot more money. People come and work with us privately. We end up having to teach them the stuff from this beginner class or this techniques class here about the comedy.
Hey, what was somebody riffing on me? I missed it. Who said that? Who want me to say that?
Look like Chadwick Boseman, bro.
Hey, man. Swear to God, I was hanging out with some comics out here on Friday night, and somebody called me that. I woke up the next morning and he was dead. I was like, he must have heard it and just fucking killed his own
Dip
self.
the hell out. Rest in peace, King. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, man.
Good.
Nah,
Anybody else have a question? Wave your hand, and so I know who it is.
I actually did have a quick one.
Yeah.
That I was curious. How far into the class, at which point do you start to help the students develop their own kind of comedy style or really realize what kind of comedy niche that
Okay, so let me
works for
explain that to you in a completely different way. We are teaching technique. Style is how you choose to apply those techniques, those principles, those skills. Now, if you want to talk comic voice, here's my belief about comic voice, okay? This way, I've been teaching this for years. People are now using it all over. You know that voice that runs in the back of your head all day long? Says all that horrible, mean, terrible, judgmental stuff? For all of you, that's the real you. That's who you really are. You've developed a social persona, so people will be around you. So what I'm saying is that is your comic voice. They always say comedians say the unsayable. That's the unsayable. When Louis C.K. comes out and says, "My 4-year-old daughter's an asshole," we've all thought it. But only a comedian lets it out of his head and let it come out of his mouth and does a bit about it.
Right.
Okay.
So it's your guiding
I mean, I can go down the line of all these people and their great premises, but it's that when the longer you work, the more you know. Watch Bill Burr. His earlier stuff wasn't nearly as judgmental as his stuff now.
Right.
Because he's more comfortable with saying this stuff because he realized, oh, a certain amount of people are going to hate me no matter what, and I might as well say what I want to say. And once you get to that, then his fame all started coming to him. Same thing with Louis C.K. Same thing with Chris Rock. Same thing down the line. Nikki Glaser, who says, you know, just stuff. Just, you know, it's great. That's your comic voice. My job is to help you get techniques to help you articulate that in a form that works in stand-up comedy. A lot of people are funny, like around their friends, you know, at work and stuff. Those people all know you. You've got history with them. To make people laugh that are strangers, you have to have well-crafted jokes that whack those people who don't know you, and they go, "Oh my goodness, that's funny." That, you know, they got to hit them. You don't get away with little comments that you do with your friends and relatives who love you and you know you've been funny for years. Strangers, very, very more of a hard nut to crack. So you have to have good heart. When I say joke, single unit of humor, I'd say those jokes are as well constructed in a story like Bill Burr's were. Don't think that was an act. Hello, no. You know how many times he probably performed it before he found the just best way to have that girl, him play that girl to say that? Probably hundreds of times he did that on stage till he found just the right way to pop this huge laugh. It's structured. Shows are quote unquote not written. Shows are developed over time. And a lot of comedians have writers. Even Robin Williams had writers. Ooh,
Awesome.
There's a shocker.
It makes a lot more sense now. It makes a lot more
Yeah,
sense.
I mean, I performed a lot with Robin. We were on the same stage for years together. So we go back to Holy City Zoo in San Francisco, even. You know,
I was there too.
Rest in peace.
So, yeah. Anybody else? Let that voice out.
Is Pacific
Dick.
time?
No, I'm going to just stick around till everybody's tired of this. Is that Dick Satori? Yeah, Dick.
Yeah, hey, yeah, you were developing a theory and formula on callbacks when I last talked to you in LA a while back. I was wondering kind of if you had an update kind of where you were at with that.
Where we're at with that is I clumped them in with tags. That the understanding that there's certain kinds of tags based on joke structure. You either shatter the same assumption as your target assumption, you shatter a different assumption, or you shatter a new assumption created by the punch. Hard for everybody to understand. Then I realized, oh, that's the same thing. The difference is for a callback, it's an assumption you're shattering from earlier in your show. And if it's a running gag, it runs many times in the show, and a running gag can actually run from one person's show to another person's set inside the same night. Because I've done that with people where I do a joke and then later somebody else does a joke on my joke. And then you learn how to do that. It's fun. I love doing that. One time I was following a redhead that was talking about being up all night, and she was tired because she'd done a lot of drugs and did a couple of guys and blah, 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 blah. And I followed her, got up and said, well, if you have to excuse me, I was up last night doing some redhead all night long. Place came apart, I'm like, the audience laughing. And I'm like, oh, you know her. It's silly.
Do you shatter a different
laugh? I mean, that was huge. Laugh to follow her was simple, but I knew I was calling back her, that's what it was. But that's what we're doing. We're setting those all in different ways of going back, and the structure, because that has a structure as well, as you know. Anything else? Anybody else?
And are you shattering different assumptions?
Yeah, I got one.
I see. Yes, go ahead.
Andrew. Yeah. I noticed writing jokes, I can do that, but I'm having much more challenges putting together, like a show where it's like, what is there really like a form in which things go together, or is it just as random as you really feel like doing? It's like, how do you consolidate things into like 7 minutes? Like when
there's
they give
several
you those
answers
bits.
to that. First of all, do you rate your jokes? ABC.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I do,
Good.
I don't write them ABC, but I do. Like,
Yeah, well, you got to rate
jokes, but-
R-A-T-E.
rating.
Rate
Rating.
all of your
Okay.
jokes. Get on recordings and listen to them and be honest and go, A is the really big ones. B's are good. They're good, but they're not the best one. And C and below. So, that's the first thing you do. So get rid of all those C, D's, and F's. And stop keeping them in there just because people treat jokes like they're children. They may be bad, but they hold on to them anyway. The sooner you become a vicious editor to kind of go, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. Take those C jokes out, and even though you have less material, but now it's better material. And then pretty soon you're going to, now after a while, years, then you'll be going, no B jokes. I remember doing this and all the B jokes. I had a show and I'm like, oh, now I've got 25 minutes and I'm doing a 20-minute show. B jokes, B jokes, B jokes, B, all of those came out. So now I'm all A for 20 minutes, and then it was A+ because those got even better. That's one answer to that. Curtis, you got an answer?
No, I did not. I wasn't listening. I was handling some chat business. Sorry,
Oh,
sir.
okay, cool.
Continue on.
So that's one. And if you don't know what they are, graph them. Length of joke, how loud the joke is, and just not brain science, just brain surgery. Just put dots. Pretty soon you'll go along. Pretty soon you'll see some come drop down here, and then some come back up here. Go get rid of those. That's the best thing you can do. Start being a vicious editor, because the sooner you challenge yourself. Louis C.K. became famous. He said it took him 10 years to develop his headlining set. And then he realized people would come see him once, right? And if they loved him, they'd come to him second time. If he did the same show, they wouldn't come see him a third time. That's when he decided at the end of every year, he threw out everything except his best bit. And that was the opening of his new show. And he forced himself to write a brand new 45 minutes or so every year. Now, every time when everybody came back and saw, now he got better and better at writing material faster and faster because he had to. That's when his career took off. I don't care what he did with his sexual, whatever. I'm just talking about him as a comedian.
His new
issues
was
about beyond that. That's
between his new special is great too. Like he put it out on
he's
his
amazing.
website.
He
It's
does
amazing.
such interesting jokes, right? But that's how he did it. He put himself in a pressure cooker and said, "Oh, I got to come up with like 45 minutes or 50 minutes worth of material every year." And I started with my A+. My first, when I go out and start the show, that's my A+ material. Now I got to get funnier.
Interesting.
That's when it changes. Okay. For Chris Rock, it's when he started being, start letting that voice out of the back of his head and really letting it out. It was which show? I forget which. I would Kill the Messenger, whatever it was, where he talked about the N-word. Talking about both blacks and whites are afraid of inward folks and stuff.
Bring the pain. Bring the pain.
Bring the pain. And he, whoa. Now, I'm married to an African American. I'm married to a black woman. Okay, so I sit around with her family, and they had that discussion all the time. They'd say to me, "Oh, there's a big difference." Like, yeah, of course I know. Because I've been around 20 years or so with them. But then when Chris Rock did a routine about it, I just, it's like, wow, he talked about that. I've seen that conversation happen in several black households over the years. And Chris talked about, said, look, we're afraid. We're afraid of the crazy people too. And that's that voice in the back of the head. He had the courage to let it out. And some people said, oh, it's going to ruin your career. It made his career because he had the courage to say what everybody else was too afraid to talk about. And that turned it around. I think Curtis, Curtis Bedford had a question. Yes.
Yeah. First of all, shout out to the other Curtai. How many classes do you have? And like, how big is the program? And sort of at what point typically people sort of have found a routine?
Okay, so here's what it is. It's 7 weeks long. Okay, 3 hours a night, no matter where. All the classes, 4 different classes in 4 different time zones. 7 weeks, 3 hours a night. Every night you're up performing some solo thing and doing some writing with us in class. We're going, write this, work with us this way, learn this joke structure, work on this. Now, here's some performing things. And we keep working with you. And where we end up with, just to be honest with you, with this whole transparent, we end up with everybody doing a 1-minute show. Okay. Now that might not seem like a lot. Yet, after you learn all these techniques, and all these skills and all these principles, and you start putting them into a show, if you can construct a really kick-ass 1 minute, that's, because I demand my advanced students work at 5+ laughs per minute. 5+ laughs per minute. And some of my students have gotten so good, especially at the tagging techniques, that they're working at 8 and 9 laughs per minute. Now that's a more than a professional level. We people do that really quite often. okay, with it, because they're applying the techniques. This stuff works. I didn't invent this stuff. I just recognized great comedians, the techniques they did, and I went, oh, look at what that person's doing. And then I wrote it down. If it didn't have a name, had a name, I'd write it down and figure it out and then teach it. If you work at the exercises, you'll get that technique as a skill. Oh, now it becomes a skill that you can do. You learn how to write a joke the way I teach you how to write a joke, and you go through the system over and over and over and over. Pretty soon you're going, oh shit, it's easy to write a joke because I'm teaching you a skill. I'm not teaching you some random opinion. Oh, I think it's better if you do it that way. Every fix and every compliment we give you will have a principle, a technique, or a skill attached to it. Will tell you why you're doing good and what you're doing right so you can repeat it. And if you've missed, we can say, okay, here's what you need to work on, and here's the exercise you need to work on to get better at that. See, this is all what all makes it possible. That's why other teachers, that's what we were talking about earlier, what's the difference between us and other people? That. Now, if you can construct that short 1 minute show and just pop, 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 whether it's stories or one-liners, you can do a 2 minute show. If you can do a 2 minute show, you can do a 5 minute show. If it's a 5 minute show, you can do a 10 minute show. I mean, we build it from there. And if you're in our advanced classes, you end with that 1 minute show and you go on the advanced class, you use that 1 minute, we build on it, go to 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And as time goes on, then you're doing 5 minutes and later you're doing 10 minutes. We take you along this progress, but I'm telling you, the shows are so well constructed. I've had, this has happened so many times. A guy named Matt Derndak went back to Florida to perform more and stuff because it was easier than being in LA to try to get open mic spots. But just before he left, he came to class. I got to tell you the story, Greg. I was out at a club and this guy, he worked really hard at the beginning class, learning those techniques. The advanced class, he every week he'd come in with the jokes and were better, and he improved them and worked on, did his act outs, did his storytelling, did his, construction. He worked on the characters. All these things that I said to do, and he just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And then he had like just a killer 3 minute set, and he went out and performed it. And some comic who'd been around for a long time and came up and said, man, oh, that was great. How long you been doing this? And Matt said, 3 months. And the guy said, really? He said, the guy said, oh, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Nobody gets that good at stand-up comedy in 3 fucking months. You're a lying son of a bitch. And walked away. And Matt's like, what did I do wrong? Right? This guy was pissed because he'd been at it for like 8 years. Matt didn't have a long show. He had a short show, but boy, was it well put together. And again, if you can do a 3 minute show, you can put together a 5 minute show because we're teaching you how to do it yourself. That whole thing about teach a man a fish, feed him for a day. Give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish. He'll waste every fucking weekend. So teach a man a fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Same thing here. We're teaching you how to do this for yourself. So when you leave us, the other teachers that will help you with the show, rewrite the show for you, put it in, do this, do that. You'll end up with a short show that's probably fairly decent. It's okay. Get some laughs. And then you'll leave, go out and perform it a few times and do okay. And go, I want more material. You got to go back to the teacher and let them write your show for you again. Instead of knowing how to do it for yourself. Once you can do it for yourself, you can turn into Louis C.K. Start writing your show. You just keep building and building and building your show because you've got the tools. It's about the tools. And I've been doing this for 40 years. When I started, there was no documentation of any fundamentals whatsoever. My book is the first shot at it, and it's 20 years old. I've got 20 years more experience and 20 years more of techniques that I teach in classes that haven't finished the other book yet. It's got a lot of cool stuff in it, a lot of great stuff because that's all I do. I don't do anything else. I've been doing it for 40 years. I don't do anything else. This is my whole life, is figuring this out, teaching it. And I love doing it when I figure out something like the common knowledge one. That was huge. Either a setup or the setups in our common knowledge, already existing information in our head. And I looked at jokes and went, now I can explain all jokes. Before that, I knew the mechanisms worked, but there were a bunch of classes of jokes I didn't understand. There was no setup. There was no performed setup. The setup was already in everybody's mind as common knowledge. And all the comedian was doing was giving us, if you want to put it that way, giving us the punchline. That's all they were doing, was giving us that. And I was going, well, where the hell is, and once I understood, setups and punches can be common knowledge as well. There's a lot of punches that you can't get unless there's common knowledge as well. Once I understood that, the whole thing, it just opened up. I could see jokes that I couldn't see before. Amazing. I mean, that's fun. I just, I was in a good mood for about 6 months after that. Dick, you still have a question?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you all, by the way, very much for this. I was wondering if you could speak to the importance of introducing yourself to the audience and how that may pertain to like an opening joke.
Well, first of all, let me just say there's a whole class of things I call comics cliches. And we really address them in the advanced class. I don't allow my students to do any of these comics cliches. So first of all, I want you to address the audience, but I want you to address the audience honestly. Okay, come out and say something real. Don't, please, in my showcases, you will not do this. You don't come out and say, hi, how you all doing this evening? Enjoying the show so far? Hey, what a beautiful crowd. Come on. As soon as you see every comic saying certain things, it's a comics cliche, not a regular cliche. It's a comics cliche. Avoid that like unsafe sex. Avoid that like a Trump gathering. So, so yeah, me, I like, now, are you talking about talking to the audience or an introduction?
I mean, I guess more of your persona. So like, so they kind of get your
persona takes a while to come around. Remember, the persona is learning to be honest about that voice in the back of your head and own it. The persona is a collection. Oh, geez, you're asking a good question. If you ever want to know really what to write about, you're really interested in that level, because I know you've been at this for a while. So I'll give this away to you for free, just for the fun of it, okay? Because I don't teach this very often, except when people's been with me for a while. I make them make a list of their deepest beliefs and values. What do you value? Okay, for instance, I value taking responsibility for yourself. I value good driving, safe driving. I drive fast, but I never tailgate, right? And I don't put anybody else in danger, but if I could drive fast, I drive really fast, but it's always safe, okay? I have a lot of different beliefs about, blah, 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 whatever. Now, you make a list of those to get really honest, your beliefs and your values. You make a list of those, and then anything that violates those values, you should be talking about. Right? Now, let's take Bill Burr, for instance. We just saw him, right? He values honesty, the real honesty. Let's tell the real truth. No doesn't mean no. Because no, what do you do? And they're saying no, but they're saying yes. So he's like going, don't bullshit me. Don't try to tell me, oh, drill in something into my head that's your propaganda. That's just not true. No doesn't mean no in certain circumstances. And then he shows us, right? That's because that violated one of his values, I think, about honesty and truth. Hey, don't try to bullshit me. Don't put your political, political correctness on me, because I'm not going to accept it, and I'll show you why. That's why he's so good, is because those are the same thing that we're all hearing and noticing, but we don't want to talk about it because we don't want women in the Me Too movement to be angry at us and make us feel like a bunch. But he didn't care. He didn't care. You wouldn't be angry at me. I don't care. I'm not going to accept your political agenda. I'm just not going to do it. Well, turnabout is fair play. You have a woman on the other side. She could say, oh, boo, here's the reason for this, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's how honest are you going to want to be? How vulnerable are you going to willing to be? That's when your voice comes out. When you say your truth, not the truth, it's your truth. Truth has to do with perspective. It's like the old, I'm a Zen Buddhist or studied Zen for a lot of years, and I sit as a Buddhist. Old joke about a Buddhist was on one side of a monk was on the side of a real rowdy rushing river, and there was another one on the other side of the rushing river, and the one yelled, "How do I get to the other side of the river?" And the other monk yelled back at him, "You're already on the other side of the river." It's a matter of perspective, right? What's the truth there? Both of them were right. So, anybody else? Anybody else? I don't see anybody else's names raising hands and
I have a
stuff. But
question.
let me come back and see who that
Hello.
is. Who is it?
Hello.
Who is? Wave your hand so I can identify you in the matrix.
I have a question. Can you
Where
hear
are you?
Mar?
Camera's
Okay. Oh, now I got you because your box lit up. I didn't mean that personally. Go ahead, Mar. What's up?
Yes. My question is basically, should our jokes be real? And so, should we not lie about it? So, like.
No, I don't know. Okay.
When
now we're into an area of opinion. I don't really like to teach much about my opinion. So let me kind of like lay out a reasoning with you. Okay. So if I do a joke like, my glasses are so thick, okay, that every time I read a map, I see people waving back up at me. Okay. Now I love that joke, right? I think it's a great example. That can never be true. It's an exaggeration joke. So Bill Cosby almost did nothing but exaggeration joke, but he revealed the truth about his feelings, about his family, and I have to overlook his personal life and stuff. I'm just talking about his work. He was beloved for so many years because he said the truth about who he was. We can go down the line of those people. It doesn't now that's a personal choice. If you go, I've had people that go, nope, it has to be true. It has to be real. It has to really happen to me. And they choose to do that. That's a style choice. Me personally, again, this is an opinion. Whenever I give my opinion, for me, the reasoning is why limit yourself to something that is a really good joke. Now, for me, what I tell people, it doesn't have to be true, but it must be emotionally honest. You must believe. In other words, what's the joke? It's not even a good joke. You get so mad at somebody, you go, I'm going to hit you so hard, it's going to kill your entire family. Okay. Again, can never be true. But the seething anger that gets expressed by that exaggeration joke, if it's emotionally honest and expresses that rage with that joke, that's when I say, that's what as a teacher, that's what I'm looking for. As an audience member, that's what I'm looking for. Not jokes for just joke's sake, but jokes that reveal the humanness about us, about who we are and our struggles. I had a gay student in the class. I just love this joke because he was like, I'll tell you why gays are such good dressers. Yeah, you spend 20 years in the closet. Yeah. Now that joke says a great deal about the human condition and how he grew up and who he was and how he got picked on and et cetera, et cetera. So that's a great joke. Okay. Now he didn't spend 20 years literally in the closet. It was the metaphorical closet of the fear of being outed. So, wow, what an interesting joke that said something very true about him. Got to scream every time he performed it because it was just so clear, an honest joke for him. That's what I'm looking for. When those, but you see, joke writing, first of all, learn what a joke is. Learn how a bunch of ways to write jokes. I knew Bill Hicks back in the day. If you guys don't know him, please look him up. We performed at the Westwood Comedy Store fairly often together and stuff all those years ago, along with Clay and Sam and Robin and, Garth. Anyway, on and on and on. Where was I going with that one? What did I say just for that? I just went back to the Comedy Store in my head. Who was I
Talking
talking
about-
about?
Yeah, the closet joke.
No, it was after that. Anyway,
You're talking
about
Bill Hicks.
yeah, Bill Hicks. Bill was like, I was just say, yeah, learn how to write. I talked to him and he said, I finally learned how to write good jokes. I said, yeah, I just wanted to write jokes. Just learn how to write jokes, make the audience laugh. And then he was there going, now I know how to make an audience laugh. And he was like, there's something missing. He actually said this to me outside there. We're bullshitting and smoking cigarettes and talking and shit. He said, there's something missing. I don't know what the fuck it is. There's just something missing. I know. It's just, I can make people laugh now. And I'm so dissatisfied with what I'm doing. People laugh really hard. And I just, I don't know. And shortly after, months or a couple months later, I realized he wasn't around. And I asked somebody. So he went back to, I think it was back to Houston. Where and went back to the comedy workshop, which I'd performed there as well with Paul Menzel and stuff. The big club there at that time. I don't know what it is now. And a few years later, he came back out. Like 7 or 8, 9 years later, he came back when I saw him again on TV. He found that. He found that voice, and that voice was. It was clear to me his values was he really hated hypocrisy, falseness. Lies. He also took American values and turned them upside down by saying guns bad, pornography good, and built a career on saying, look at these people that are mediocre. Look at these people that are profiting off of war. Look, First Amendment jokes and things about Christianity and stuff. It very much ended up being very much a Lenny Bruce. The only difference, Lenny Bruce did this back in the early 50s. Imagine doing jokes about racism and drugs and religion and stuff like that in the early 50s. That's why he got thrown in jail all the time, is he was talking about stuff that to us, we were going, what's the big deal? That's not such a good album. Got to put it in this time in history. When he said the things he said, people freaked out because back then you couldn't even say the word pregnant on television. You had to say something like she's in a motherly way, or literally couldn't say the word pregnant. So times change. People say a lot of stuff even on network television now. So another question from anybody?
I have a question.
Okay.
But I first want to say, Greg, that, and I'm not proud to say this, but it's an interesting fact of my life, is that my father was one of the undercover detectives who arrested Lenny Bruce.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
how cool is that?
It's kind of cool. I found out about 2 years ago. So I didn't know. But anyway, I have a question about a point in your book, which is the notion that if people are thinking they're not available for laughing, and yet I find sometimes that comedians kind of, as they're in their segue, they'll then give me a tag that tells me the subtext that I really enjoyed not having it spelled out for me. And even John Mulvaney, when he said, "And adults rape each other," I just thought, I didn't need you to so I wonder where that balance is.
Now we're back to personal style.
Yeah.
See, that's an opinion. I don't do those kind of opinions because, like Gayla had mentioned earlier, the senior teacher Gayla had mentioned earlier, when you give your opinion to other teachers, not only do you clone your own values and you clone your own sense of humor in those students, the worst part is you pass on your own limitations. I can't tell you how many times in a classroom, advanced class, somebody would say, I got a bit, and I'd go, put it up, and they put it up, and I don't think it's funny, okay? But the students are laughing at it, okay? And I recognize, I can see the jokes, but they just don't hit, I don't find humor in them personally. And I work as hard on that person's show as I will work on anybody's shows, because it's not my job to judge it. My job is to help people articulate their sense of humor, not mine. And I even have to say to students sometimes, like, whoa, don't make this person wrong. Either help them write this joke from their point of view or don't, step out, okay? And the person worked real hard, put together a show. We went to the main room of the Hollywood Improv, had 125 people there. He's crushed it. And I still sat in the back of the room going, I just don't find the humor in this. And not once did it ever make me laugh. I tell this story because he didn't know that, nor should he. It's not about my sense of humor and what I like and what I don't like. That audience was screaming, and I'm sitting there going, all these people find this so funny. Why don't I? I didn't find humor in it. Maybe for my own values or something from my past where it hit a hurt point in me. I'm not, doesn't matter. I worked just as hard on his show as anybody else's, and he had a great show because of it. And so that's why, because teachers are wrong. I've had students come into my class and we work on a show for them. Like one guy was from San Diego. And he drove down every week for like 3 classes. It was but for almost like 6 months, once a week, drove to LA from San Diego. Kind of got tired of it, so he took the Comedy Store class in La Jolla down there. And I didn't hear from him. And pretty soon he come back and he took my class again. I go, hey, you're back, thanks. He goes, yeah, I took a class there. And Sandy Shore, who teaches that, said, when I showed her the bit that I was working on, which is the one we worked here in class, she said, oh, that's not funny. You'll never get laughs with that. He's like, well, I've constructed it. I've performed it a few times. It works. No, it will never get any laughs. I'm telling you, I know that's not funny and you will never get a laugh from it. Well, he just because he'd learned from me, kept doing workarounds around her and improved his show some. And then when they did the showcase at the La Jolla Comedy Store, again, he just crushed it. And he looked up, and after he got his first really big laugh, he saw the teacher leave the room, go get in her car and go home. Because that person doesn't have anything else to teach but their opinion. You take that away from them, they have to play mental game. They have to, I can't see that because I was wrong and all I have is my opinion. Well, that's why I stopped doing it. I had a guy who challenged me, there's some 435 or 39 years ago or something. And I went home and went, that guy's right. My sense of humor isn't any better than anybody else's. So what do I teach people? And it took me 10, 15 years to figure out what to teach and how to teach, how to start to develop those techniques. Oh, here's a reoccurring problem in students. Okay. Oh, here's one that, about every 1 out of 2 students have this problem. Okay. Oh, well, what is a person doing that does it well? Figure out what it is and start teaching it to the people who don't do it well. Give it a name, put it in, give it an exercise, help them practice it, stay in class while they practice it. Because to me, it's like riding a unicycle. I can teach you techniques for riding a unicycle because I used to ride one until I got older. I didn't want to break any bones, but you're still going to fall. The only way to learn how to do it, even with good technique, is get up and fall down, like 50 to 100 times, which I did. And then one day I drove, got 10 feet on the unicycle, and pretty soon I was going around the block. Pretty soon I was going grocery shopping, bringing home 2 bags of groceries on a unicycle. I used it as my central form of transportation in my neighborhood and stuff. Yeah, and technique helped me get there, but nothing takes away stage time. The difference is it's scary, it's terrifying. It's terrifying, and emotional angst takes a lot of courage, takes a lot of commitment, bravery to get out there and do those open mics and to do those shows. It takes so much. Why not, when you go out there, make sure you're practicing, first of all, what you're performing are jokes, and you're practicing good technique that you're going to get better at. Because I see people in the open mics who told me my class was so full of shit, can't learn shit from people like you, and be real hostile toward me. See them 7, 8 years later in the same open mic, making exactly the same mistakes. And I could have corrected it with technique in a week or 2. If they'd just done this, it would have, one of those classes would have corrected the bad technique this person was just repeating over and over and over again, and it just kept him in the same place. And that was about a year ago. A guy from Australia, won't say his name because he asked me not to. One of the most famous comedians in Australia. And he says, I've hit a ceiling. I said, let me see you do your show. I watched him do a show, and he did what I call memorizing his words in internal dialogue, where he talks to himself and all, you know, and I just said, oh, here's the problem. Here's what you're doing. And he went, oh yeah, that is what I'm doing. I said, now let's take all your jokes and turn them into pictures. Now you'll look at the pictures and tell us the story of those jokes. So I worked with him for like 2 hours till he's just like, oh my God. And he wrote me about 6 months later and said, my career has just friggin' exploded because I got past that ceiling. Bad technique. He'd gotten really good at one piece of bad technique. Took me 2 hours to straighten it out. And I explained it to him. I said, look, this is what's going. You're violating normal memory. You're not doing normal memory. You're doing abnormal memory by memorizing the words of the jokes. I don't care if you memorize words of your jokes. The difference is if it's internal dialogue. If you have to disappear, talk to yourself, and then say the words and talk to yourself. We will cover this extensively in classes 3 and 4. Is it 4 and 5? It's 4 and 5. Classes 4 and 5. Extensively, we'll go over it. We'll talk about it. We're going to teach you how to take your joke. Just part of it is when we took the one-liner and turned it into a scene we did earlier for you. That's part of it. You get it. Turn it into a scene. Now tell me the story. Have the characters act it out. You know, do all this stuff. Tell me the story rather than trying to deliver the joke. You know, and memorize the words. And you're going to learn all about, because I don't know, I don't talk about this very much because a lot of people have too many questions that I can't answer in a short period of time. If you know what NLP is, neuro-linguistic programming, if you know what NLP is, it's what Tony Robbins teaches. He stole all that stuff from my teacher. Not stole it because my teacher didn't care if he took it. He used, that's all NLP. The stuff he's teaching and has been for years is all NLP. I was his personal assistant and I worked with him for 6 months, Tony Robbins. And then I didn't like the way he handled business. I'll leave it at that. And went and found the guy who invented NLP, him and his wife, and studied with him for the next 2 years while he taught me this thing called modeling, which is how to go into a field where there are no fundamentals and then how to figure them out, how to find them, identify them, turn them into exercises, and how to teach them. I'm not brilliant. I sound, oh, he does all this great stuff. That's you know, I listened to John Grinder. I followed him, this guy, NLP. I studied, and every time I got off track, he'd go, you're off track. You need to go here. You need to do that. You need to work on it this way. You need to think about it this way. You've missed it. And then over the course of 30 years, I developed the NLP of comedy. That's what I'm teaching. It's the same thing. Teaching what was considered unteachable until I sat down and went, what principles are people using? What techniques are they using? Where I help with people is, and I do this is with my teachers. This is what I teach them. We're helping people with comedy. Help you get your comedy right. Okay. Your communication. A lot of people have crap communication. You're a communicator. And the third is state. What state? Are you in the proper state? Okay. Are you in the resourceful state, or are you in internal dialogue, beating yourself up and stuff? How can we get that state? Are you in present state? Are you present with the audience? Here's one of the phrases you'll hear from me a lot. If you're present and you play, you win. Because all those techniques are all leading you up to be able to be present with the audience. And then it doesn't matter if stuff goes wrong. If you screw something up, you just simply play with it. Oh, yeah, I screwed up that joke. Yeah, goddamn, it was funny when I told it to the mirror this morning. You know, you just play with it. You know, or when you go blank. I've even done this on stage. We go blank, and then you just look at everybody and go, I think I just forgot everything I've ever known. And the audience laughs. That's what you feel like. You feel like I don't know anything. My brain, I never knew anything. That's what I believe. You're at that place. Well, I figured a way out of it. And now I teach that because it happened to me. And I went, why did I go blank? And I went back in, did the NLP, and followed my mental process. And what I did was went into internal dialogue and start talking bad things to myself on stage, still looking at the audience, and I'm saying to myself, they're not laughing, they're not laughing, I'm not funny, I'm not funny. And as long as that's what's going on inside my head, nothing else can get out of me. So I developed an actual technique to help people stop that internal dialogue. Actually, most of the techniques that I teach are in one way or another trying to solve that particular problem. To sit around, and when they're writing, I make them always ask questions, always ask questions, always ask questions. Otherwise they'll go, you know, what's funny, what's funny, what's funny, what's funny, and then they won't find any details to write jokes about, because they're just saying one thing to themselves, and it blocks that creative, I don't know, what do you go, tube, funnel, tunnel, whatever you want to call it, that flow. Oh, I don't know. And they're doing it to themselves. They're talking themselves and clogging their head with all kinds of lies and bullshit. It's one of the things I loved about studying Zen Buddhism. Most of the stuff we make up in our head, it's just not true. And people will spend their whole lives living in the wreckage of a future that will never come true. What is the old saying? If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Gad, try to figure out, you know, try to make anything in the world turn out the way that you think it should. Well, it doesn't. So that's what I studied. That's why I came away from studying so many years of Zen Buddhism and Buddhism. And I went to a different form of Buddhism. Zen became a little even too structured for me. It was all about, learning to be here, being now. So like with teaching, I never teach one of these the same way. I got a deck, but in classes too, I got things, I got agendas. Here's what I want to teach you. And I never do it or say it the same way twice. And that's what I'm going to teach you how to do your show. Oh, you know what your show is, but you never quite perform it the same way because you're present and you're performing for the people who are in front of you. One of my phrases that I put on a meme and put out there was, do the show that's in front of you, not the one in your head. So many people are trying to shove their rehearsal at home down this people's throats, and they're not going there with you. Oh, well, start being present with these people and figure out where they want to go and what they, you're still leading, but the audience has an impact on how you do your show. Sometimes a little bit, sometimes not at all. Any other questions?
Greg, Marge wants to know about this class size.
But you know what? On Zoom, it doesn't matter, but we figure, like in IRL, we figure that set class is designed for everybody to get personal attention and be able to have help with every assignment that we work on, at 15 to 20. But since since Zoom classes, not so much, because people, their COVID, and some people don't have the money, et cetera, whatever it is, but we're doing it anyway. And, and it doesn't matter how many, students in the class, we still teach the class because, the people who paid good, hard money, and we're there for them. That's what you're going to discover, is we're here for you. And I'm not going to be teaching every single class and everything. These other teachers we introduced, you're going to be part of the scheme. They're going to be helping in advanced classes and beginning classes and different things like that. But they're certified by me. In other words, again, if they can't do it, they can't teach it. So I make everything that I'm teaching everybody, they have to pass a test, and they have to learn how to do all these things and understand it, so that then they can teach it. And then they'll get better, and they just get better and better and better at teaching those things. It's the same principle. And these students, they're incredibly trained right now. The other days they're coming up with solutions that I was, wow, I didn't even think of that. That's what I love. I love when people go beyond me. When people take the stuff I'm teaching them and do something I didn't expect to do. See, that's the problem with opinions. I'm not passing on my limitations. I've had it with students too. Teach them a technique, and then they do something with it and go, I'm not in a million years would I have thought to do that with that technique. No, not, that's my limitation as a person. And I see it and I write it down, and, I tell people, don't steal jokes, steal techniques. You see a comic do something really good, go, what is that person doing? What's the technique? How are they doing that? How are they putting that all together? Steal that technique. I do that. That's what I do. It's what I do for a living. Watch and get techniques and then figure out, give them a name if they don't have a name, turn them into an exercise. You guys do the exercise with us. Okay, and then you go home and work on it as well. And if you're smart, you do work on it even when we're not in class. And then those techniques turn into skills. They turn into behaviors. You're able to actually do it. And then you go out in the club and do it, perform it for as many years as you're into it, and you'll just get better and better and better and better and better at those skills, because they're skills. I've demystified. You don't know him. You can look him up. His name is Rich Scheidner, R-I-T. Put this name in there for everybody. Rich Scheidner. In the 80s and 90s, he was huge on TV. You know, if you don't know him, R-I-T-C-H, S-H-Y-D-N-E-R. Weird name. R-I-T-C-H. Rich Scheidner, S-H-Y-D-N-E-R. Rich Scheidner. And I was worried he was going to become one of my teachers a while back, and then he got a job on Roseanne as one of their writers and stuff. But right then he'd just been having a hard time, and I was going to help him out, blah blah blah. And he learned my stuff, and he just stood there and went, "Dude, you cracked the stand-up comedy code." He said, "I was skeptical as hell when my friend told me you did." And he was like, "Now that I'm sitting there learning them and learning people how to teach them," and it's like, so you know, people don't know who he is. So I think it's one of the best quotes that there are. I actually used the phrase in my advertising because it was him. He said, "You cracked the stand-up comedy code." I didn't think, you know, I'm too busy working on this stuff to think of how to advertise it. I don't, you know, I have to hire people to do that because I'm busy taking care of you guys and writing things and putting things together and finding better ways to teach, more stuff to teach, to answer questions and stuff. So then I keep, you know, and I enjoy it. I don't, every day I wake up and don't have a job. I work, you know, 12, 16 hours a day every day, but doesn't feel like it because I'm having a really good time. Except for Monday Night Football, which is, again, I'm going to, on my DVR, I'm going to watch. Don't tell me about the game because it's always Monday Night Football and Vicodin. So just the way I do things. Don't take me seriously. Any other questions? Any other comments?
I got a question. I don't know. I feel like I've asked.
Who is it?
A couple already. Dick.
Oh, okay.
I can't decide between the three questions, but I'll just go with the first one. Any insight on how your technique applies to prop comedy or prop work?
It's all the same thing. Doesn't matter. I could show you a joke structure. First of all, I know Gallagher. I worked with Gallagher. He's actually taught for us. Came in and done workshops with us and stuff. I know Gallagher pretty well. That joke structure is exactly the same as one-liner joke structure. Once you understand it, you know, I watched Carrot Top the other day. I watched Jim, I think, put it up in Slack in our global community. We post things like that. And I went back. I hadn't seen. First of all, you guys don't know is that Carrot Top is. I think he's the top paid comedian in America. If you didn't know that, because kids from 6 and old people from 96 to go see his show in Las Vegas at the Luxor. He doesn't offend anybody. He just does fun comedy, and the structure of you know, having a target assumption and a reinterpretation. Every one of his jokes have 2 parts. I can diagram every one of his prop jokes, so it's no different. It's no different. A joke is a joke. If it's a single unit of humor, it will have the same structure. And again, be skeptical. Please, because I find, you know, when people come in and they're the most skeptical and they really get to know my work, then I have a convert. Then they're like, oh my God, I didn't even know this possibly even existed, let alone, you know, wow, you just showed me and answered all my questions and showed me how this works and stuff. And again, I'm not going to, you know, I don't know why all these people are so afraid of that they know a comedy teacher and this comedy teacher taught them a bunch of stuff. I don't know why they have a problem with that, but they seem to. So they go, oh, you know, don't let anybody know that I studied with you and that you straightened out my show. And then I went and did a Netflix special because of the work. And I did, you know, I got TED Talks all the time too. People come to me for TED Talks. not TEDx talks, TED Talks. So anyway, that's it applies to everything. It's public speaking, you know, the structure of humor or a joke, a single unit of humor. It's universal. And once you get to know it, then it takes a long time to like keep looking at it and saying, oh, look at the way they used it. Look how that person used it. Look how that person used it. Once you see the two parts and how they get connected, it really, it's not say it's a miracle, but it's astounding. Just like your brain goes, open up and you start seeing things that other people aren't seeing. And having conversations, once you get my terminology, my students call it Greg speak. The terminologies represent all these techniques and principles and skills and mechanisms and processes and structures. And there are all those things in this. And I try to keep down that rhetoric as much as possible. I try to keep it simple and fun for everybody and work on them. And that's what we do in the class. But once once you start to see, you sit around, wow, you can see into comedy. I've had conversations with people, they just like, oh my God, are we having this conversation about this routine and, blah, blah, blah. Fun. It's fun to have a conversation like nobody else on the planet is having because you have inside information. And that's what this is until, and it's slowly leaking out. People are using it. People say they're copying me, that it's a compliment. And they're copying me. So take that as you wish. Otherwise, this is all my stuff that I innovated. I'm not going to tell you. I innovated, put it together into a curriculum and processes for teaching. This is my stuff. And when it isn't, I credit the person who, the idea I built upon, just like they do in academics. When I'm building on somebody's stuff, I talk about that and let everybody know that it was built on somebody else's idea, and it helped me realize that same idea in comedy and use those things. So anyway, I'm talked out. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. Gonna go watch Monday Night Football. I hope you all join us in this class. It's a lot of fun. I just, as you can tell, I enjoy the hell out of teaching and watching you guys develop these skills and get better and better by just practicing these things that we teach you. It's a joy of my life. So thank you. I check out. Thank you all. I hope to see you in the class. If not, I hope to see you in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.